Hello, everyone. It's Michael Jaco with Unleashing Intuition Secrets. Joined once again with Richard Mack, Constitutional Sheriff Association that he started. Peace officers, we're going to be talking about that and Constitution and, lots of other things. So we're looking forward to the conversation. Thank you, Sheriff Mack, for joining us again.
Well, thanks. It's my privilege. And with everything that's going on, we need to be talking and educating the American people every day. So I'm glad to be a part of that.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, the Constitution Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association that you established is doing exceptionally well. I hear people talking about it all the time, and I know you have a lot of constitutional sheriffs joining you, and you're teaching them and so forth. Thank you for that work. How is that going so far?
Well, when people ask me that question, I said it's really separating the man from the boys. Because there's still a lot of sheriffs, far too many, that are afraid to get involved. And most of it is because they just don't want to create a controversy around themselves so it would hurt their next campaign. And I was talking to one sheriff, actually several in Minnesota a year and a half ago, and they said, we can't come to your event because we see all this stuff being said about you on the internet. And I said, well, all of that is lies, right? They go, oh, yeah, we know you. We know they're lies, but we don't want those lies going around about us. So that's really how mamsy-pamsy some of the sheriffs are. But there's a good solid 300 sheriffs in the country, which is only 10%. We need quite a bit more than that are like Sheriff Bob Songer in Klickitat County, Washington. He said, I am a proud member of the CSPOA. I'll stand with Sheriff Mack and the constitutional sheriffs of this country anytime, any place, anywhere. So
fantastic.
Yeah, that's the sheriffs we're really looking for. Another one like that is Sheriff Dar Leaf in Michigan. And there's a bunch of them. Sheriff Rick Staley in Florida. And there's several others in Florida. And then how about this one? Lewis County, New York, Sheriff Mike Carpinelli. There's a good constitutional sheriff. And these guys have seen the light. Once they get the training, most of them, 98% of them come on board and stay on board.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And, we, the people, should be really, asking for the constitutional sheriffs. That's why.
Exactly. That has to happen.
Yes, because unless people demand that and require that, then they're just going to, sheriffs don't see that as a necessary. And most people just think that sheriffs are going to do constitutional, be right as far as the Constitution, but not so much, unfortunately.
You don't leave that to happen chance.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And so, yeah, thanks so much for pushing that information out there. I'm glad to be part of that. I know a lot of you go on a lot of shows, like you talked about before you came on. This is your third show today, where you're informing the public about the need for constitutional sheriffs. So that's incredible.
So I was on JJ, and then I was on Shannon Joy today.
Nice. Yeah, great shows, great patriots out there. And, obviously you're a great patriot. In between shows, you're picking up your grandchildren or moving around.
Yeah.
And how many years? 55 years, you say?
55 years.
Wow. For you and your wife, anniversary. That's incredible. Congratulations.
Yeah. I guess you could honestly say that I'm a one-woman man.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Good for you. And I'm sure she appreciates that. And that's a good example, good example for all the other men out there. So, to keep going. So, I'm at, I think 20, I think we're at 20. Hopefully we'll make it to 55 like you someday. So, we'll keep chugging along. But yeah, what do you think is the most important thing that we need to be focused on right now as Americans?
Well, the one that's pulling at my heartstrings right now the most is the arrest, conviction, and sentencing of one of our best constitutional sheriffs, and that is Sheriff Scott Jenkins in Virginia, Culpeper County. And This is a leftover from the Biden FBI corruption. And get this. Let me tell you about Sheriff Scott Jenkins. Now, there's another pressing national issue, but this one is on my heart the most because we've been trying for 4 months to get this in front of Trump so we could get this man pardoned. It's all federal charges, and Trump could pardon him in a minute. And we just keep striking out. General Flynn has tried. We have Ted Nugent behind it. I'm behind it. I haven't been able to get to Steve Bannon. His producer, Cameron, for some reason is not getting back with me. I've left several messages for him. Who else? Several sheriffs have called the new administration, the Trump administration, and it just doesn't seem to be working. There's too many blockers around Trump. And because I know if this got in front of Trump, he would do it. This man has been at Mar-a-Lago at a black tie gala at Trump's home. But when he was first elected in 2012, within just a few weeks of being the new sheriff of Culpeper County, he calls me and says, Sheriff, I want you to come out to my county and train all of our people, all of our deputies, all of our jailers, all of our dispatchers, all of our secretaries, everyone. And I said, if that's really going to work, then I have to do one in the morning and one in the afternoon. He goes, of course. So people on swing shift or graveyard can make whatever training they want of the two. I said, absolutely. So we did it. And he was so humble that when I told him that roadblocks are unconstitutional, he says, well, what do I have to do to make it constitutional? I said, they have to be voluntary. So you have to announce that people participating in this roadblock are doing so voluntarily, and put a sign there, or when you announce it on the paper, say these are voluntary. And he went at lunchtime and rewrote his policy on roadblocks so that they would be constitutional. And now get this. He was the first sheriff in America to announce to Joe Biden that if he came to his county to confiscate AR-15s and AK-47s, that would not happen, and that before he would allow that to happen, he would deputize every female and male adult in his county so that they would be required to be in possession of those guns. And that came out, that's still on YouTube. You can find it on Google and YouTube where he did that. Then he and a few other sheriffs, a couple from Florida, had a meeting on the phone about whether or not they would investigate Hunter Biden's laptop crimes that were exposed. The three sheriffs of the group that said they would all got contacted by the FBI within 2 weeks of that meeting. So obviously they had them wiretapped on that phone call, and two of them ended up getting serious charges, and Sheriff Jenkins is the only one going to prison unless we stopped it somehow. So if anybody knows, call your senator and say, we need to get this in front of Trump to stop this injustice. And again, all federal charges, so it's definitely Trump's jurisdiction. And that's Sheriff Scott Jenkins of Culpeper County, Virginia. Call your senator, call your congressman, and say, please get this in front of Trump, and let's not allow this innocent man, one of the best sheriffs in American history, to go to prison. He got 10 years, supposedly, for a white-collar crime that all politicians have done. And his big donors, he put on his posse, and he gave them wallets and badges. And we also sell wallets and badges, and I even told Sheriff Jenkins about this. And you want to be on our posse, the CSPOA posse? You can do so online for $11 a month, or you can buy a membership and this wallet and badge for $760. Okay. And we take gold backs. Anything
Nice.
regular gold, silver, gold backs, or cash. And so if they want to come and arrest me, tell them to go ahead. But they won't, because they're gone now. And these criminals of the DOJ and the FBI actually arrested this man, took him to court. And of course, the judge sides with them and instructs the jury, you don't get to decide anything except the evidence of this. And I don't know why juries are so manipulated by judges, because we are not subject to the judge's direction. We decide, not the judge. We are the ultimate say. We, the people, decide these cases. Anyway, so if anybody wants one, go to my website, CSPOA.org. And the most important thing you can do out of this is call and get some help. If you know somebody at the Trump administration, please call them. If you know one of his kids, please call them. And let's stop this injustice before he goes to prison. It'll be basically a life sentence. 10 years in prison for a stupid thing like this. You know, when Barack Obama took a $300,000 illegal campaign donation, they spat him on the hand, they slapped his hand, and he gave it, and he had to give it back. That's it. That's it. Nothing happened. No jail, no nothing. And so, again, folks, $760, you get this mailed to you. We'll pay for the shipping, and you get your membership on our CSPOA posse. And you also get a copy of my Supreme Court case.
Love it. Love it. So we're pretty much, we have a constitutional crisis if you look at the Democrats, because the judicial side is trying to stop President Trump every chance they get. I just saw recently, just before we came on together, Congressman Jeffers, I think it's Jeffries or something like that. He's basically saying that Trump is unconstitutional, and the Supreme Court should be siding with these judges that are trying to stop him from getting criminals out and send them down to El Salvador. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, as soon as you said the word Democrat, I knew what was up, because these people are so demented. It's not even funny. But they're not demented. It's an agenda.
Yeah.
And they're going to be against the Republicans and against Trump no matter what. And it's obvious that it's no matter what, because even though he's trying to get a huge criminal element out of our country, out of our communities, and out of our counties, they don't care. Their agenda and their partisan politics is much more important. They don't care about you. They don't care about me. They don't care about other Democrats. They don't care about civil rights. They don't care about the Constitution. They care about the Democrat Party winning. And what Trump has done, and many of us have done, we interrupted their agenda to create a Democrat monopoly over government and the political power that they were trying to obtain through the illegal immigration, and making sure that these people all got driver's licenses so that they could go get registered to vote, and make sure that they got on the Democrat rolls to make sure that the blue states would win every time, and they wouldn't have to cheat anymore. They would just have to do this cheating. And it got stopped because the American people woke up and put Trump into office. And so really my wait, I got to grab this. Hang on. Hey, call mom real quick. I'm on an interview. So anyway, that was my son. So sorry. But the Democrats have shown a complete disdain for law and order. And can you believe that they would be on the record of saying, we want these MS-13 gangs here, we want the Tren de Aragua gangs here, we want the international terrorists here, we don't care about the murders, we don't care about the rapes, we don't care about this thefts, and we don't care about the apartment complex being taken over in Aurora, Colorado. We don't care, because we're Democrats and we have an agenda, and their agenda is the only thing that matters.
Yeah. Now, when I was in the SEAL teams, I was in Virginia Beach, and I loved Virginia. At one time it was so Republican, so red, but the Democrats in Washington basically spread. And, they've turned that state around quite a bit, unfortunately. But I appreciate what you're talking about as far as the constitutional rights of Second Amendment. They want to come after that. They're smart, because as long as we have our Second Amendment rights, they're never going to get control of us and turn us into what they dream of is a communist country. So it's not going to happen. Democrats are going to win that one. So we have to stand strong and continue to fight. But the judicial side is obviously extremely.
Hang on a second. This is an emergency, or he wouldn't have called me back.
Okay.
Yeah. What's up, Rich? You did what? You got released? No, don't do that. Yeah. Okay, I got to go. Bye-bye. So anyway, my son's been having some problems, and anyway, he got stuck in Kentucky, and I'm sorry I interrupted your interview, but I told him, but anyway, God bless, family comes first. Sorry.
You guys work through that. Thank you.
So no anyway, and so I got to go back to George Washington and his farewell address. He said the two-party system would be the bane of American liberty. And I'm afraid that it is, because look, there's too many Republicans like Senator Mitchell from Kentucky and Collins from Maine, Murkowski from she's never been a Republican, but anyway, there's some real evil rhino Republicans too. And let's look at, and I want to go back to your question. What's the worst thing going on that we have got to have Trump put an end to? And to me, yes, my heart's with Sheriff Jenkins, but there's a worse problem, and it's such utter corruption. And this is the epitome, and this is the example of complete and utter corruption in Washington, D.C. And I'm going to tell you right now, if Trump doesn't get rid of the IRS and funding of Planned Parenthood, then I probably won't be too much of a supporter of his in the near future, because those two things have got to go. Yeah. The IRS is a bunch of bullies and criminals that have victimized the American people for over a century. And these crooks have got to go, and take the Federal Reserve with you, and the income tax as well.
Absolutely.
But when it comes to illegal spending, you would think, and Elon Musk has brought this up, and Mike Johnson brought it up, but it's not being talked about nearly enough. And I think even once or twice Trump has brought it up. But this should be the top priority now, along with deportation and making our country safe. Yes, that is important. But when you consider that $700 million a year is stolen, taken illegally from taxpayers, and funneled to a private organization, a private club, and that provides no government service whatsoever. And then that Planned Parenthood turns that money around and gives a lot of it back to the very politicians who funneled it to them in the first place for their campaign coffers. How utterly corrupt and illegal can you get? And yet it's just not up there on the top of the list, and it needs to get there.
Yeah, I think that the corruption that's in the judicial side is preventing a lot of that from happening, because as we're seeing, he's trying to get these criminals out of the country, and the judicial side's jumping in. We know there's lots of corruption within the election, all the way back to 2020, and probably even further back.
Yes, it is.
So if they were to expose us, I know they can expose it, but they would have just a wall of corrupt judges coming after them. So I think that the judicial side, we love them when they work for us, but they don't seem to be working for us right now. So,
yeah, I mean, I won a case at the U.S. Supreme Court back in 1997, and I loved it. However, it was a 5-4 split, and the problem with that was the 5 Republicans sided with me, and the 4 Democrats on the Supreme Court sided with Clinton. If they're just going to play politics with our liberties and the Constitution, then they're proving themselves completely irrelevant to the cause of liberty and to America. And so it really ticks me off that the Supreme Court has just become a political hack for whoever appointed them, or for whatever party they belong to.
Yeah, and Arizona has been traditionally very strong sheriffs and great voting, but they seem to have come in and they've captured the voting system there in Arizona. What do you think about how that might get fixed at some point?
Well, the fix isn't that hard if the politics part would get out of the way.
Yeah.
But when you have the national media going after anybody, trying to crucify anybody who wants just to verify how we vote in America, just let's verify this. Why do we trust computers? Why are they pretending that computers all of a sudden are not, that they're impenetrable, that they're unhackable? What a joke. We all know they are. Even the Pentagon has been hacked. And some of the biggest companies in the world have been hacked by 15-year-old kids, some geek, so no, it would be so simple to serialize and watermark every ballot and hand count them. And you have as many ballots of people that actually came in to vote. And once you come up with numbers like 110% people voted who were registered to vote, you got a problem. And that has happened in numerous places across the country. And when you have like the Biden and Obama elections, here Biden won almost 15 million more than Obama did in his second election. And yet he lost 215 counties more than Obama did. That's prima facie evidence that you should be conducting an investigation. We asked every sheriff in America to follow up with the investigations in every one of their counties. About 7 did it. Yeah. And out of those 7, 4 actually came up with solid evidence and made arrests.
Wow.
So it's just so frustrating to not have the American people more on board with this, because you were absolutely correct when you called it a minute ago. The sheriffs have got to hear from their constituents. And that's us, folks. If you want to take back America, if you want to restore the Constitution, you don't have to wait for another election. You don't have to wait for another piece of legislation. You can work with your sheriff right now. And this is something that we've got to do. And don't come whining when things fall apart and you've never established a good, solid relationship with your sheriff, and ask him a very poignant question. Sheriff, my friends and I have got to know, are you a constitutional sheriff? And then whatever his answer is, if he says no, you got a long conversation. If he says yes, then you want to ask him other questions about what he will do to stop gun control, what he will do to stop any forced mandates of vaccinations or anything like that went on. And ask him, were you sheriff during COVID? Did you stand against masks? Did you stand against shutdowns? Did you stand for the American people to make their own choices about their health care. And have that conversation with him, and then tell him, I want to be on your posse. Well, I don't have one. I want to volunteer to help form one with you. Most sheriffs have posses, and the most common posse is the search and rescue squad. And those are all volunteers, and the sheriff can expand that however he wants to other areas besides just search and rescue.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So sad, but I think, kind of like what you're saying, as far as like the investigation into political corruption in the voting, not very many people responded. I think it's probably the same thing with, COVID vaccination, because we've had 80% of American population, according to, stats that I've been looking at, have been vaccinated. So most of those people didn't want to, I think. But they were forced to because of different situations. So that's another reason why we really need really good constitutional sheriffs to protect us against, who knows what the next thing's going to be. That time it was like, yep.
And that's a good point, because Justice Scalia actually made that clarification in the Supreme Court case. Again, folks, you can get a review of my Supreme Court case, the most powerful 10th Amendment states' rights decision in the history of America, and listen to what Scalia says in the decision. Again, these are available at CSPOA.org. You get 3 for $5. Pass them around. For heaven's sake, folks, this is such a miracle. You want to pass this around, but you need to read it first. Okay, so Scalia says this: but the Constitution protects us from our own best intentions. It divides power among sovereigns and among branches of government precisely so that we may resist the temptation to concentrate power in one location as an expedient solution to the crisis of the day. End quote. The crisis of the day that we had during COVID. And what did they try to do? Concentrate power in one location so that we would all be under that umbrella and do what we're told. Well, I have to admit, my daughter, who knows better, and her husband got vaccinated, and some of their kids, because he's from Canada and his dad has been ailing. At that time, he was very sick. He's still sicker, and he's close to leaving. But they couldn't go see their dad in Alberta unless they were vaxxed, because Canada said no.
Yeah.
And to go see his dad, he did it. That's probably the only one I actually understood, although I would not have done it, because there's no way I was going to vaccinate my kids. No way.
Very good. Yep.
Yeah. But anyway, people were coerced a great deal. Teachers were being fired, firemen, police, military were being fired. The only good news is you can't unvaccinate them, but you can find ways to get rid of that spike protein in your system. And where I go for that is Global Healing with Dr. Ed Group, Global Healing. It's on our website. Go there and buy your stuff there.
Yeah, he's really good at those too. Yeah, fantastic. I agree with you. Yeah, good stuff.
So, folks, if Scalia was smart enough to put that in this decision, you definitely want the rest of the stuff, the rest of the miracle in this decision. It is phenomenal. If this decision had come out a few days ago, everyone in the freedom movement would be going gaga over how absolutely amazing this is, miraculous. Well, just because it came out June of 1997 doesn't make it any different.
Yeah.
Everyone, this hasn't been rescinded, hasn't been changed, altered, nothing. It needs to get to every sheriff in this country and every American. CSPOA.org.
Absolutely. Very good. Very good. So we have your that link in the description box, and I put it up on the screen a few times. A lot of people have seen it. So yeah, we appreciate all that you do and coming in. I know you're a busy man. You got a lot of stuff going on, and you're doing lots of shows. You're juggling a lot of stuff, obviously. So thanks so much for coming on and sharing all your amazing information.
Well, let's do it again. And thanks. And again, a reminder, everybody call your congressman and senator, and please get them. And you'll have better luck with Republicans, obviously, but call anybody and everybody you can to get Sheriff Scott Jenkins pardoned. Sheriff Scott Jenkins from Virginia.
Very good. Yeah, he needs to be, definitely.
Oh, yes.
All right, Sheriff Mack. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate you.